Well, it was a fun trip for me back to Iowa City. It wasn't a real fun trip for the guys in the purple in the goal, but it was fun in the sense that doing these each week, these Dog Talk with Brock, it's nice to see the product in person. Right? It's one thing to watch training camp, it's one thing to watch spring practice. It's quite another to watch a game and to watch one of these 12 battles and see it up close and personal, to study the game tape all week, to sit down with Jed Fish and Steve Belichick and Brennan Carroll as we got the opportunity to do so in our production meeting. Ultimately, to walk the field pregame, to really kind of size up and study the matchups and see where the Huskies are. And obviously, some of the places the Huskies are not. And Iowa and that grown-up program really put that on full display. So as we do every week, even in a bye week this week, what we learned, what we think, what we know. What I learned, what I think, what I know when it comes to this Husky football program and this Husky football team in 2024. What I learned is that a 26-year established, fully bloomed culture has an opportunity to take apart a 9-month culture if the game plays the way it played last Saturday in Iowa City. If you unfortunately give the ball away, if you don't take it away, if you give and don't take, then someone like in Iowa is going to punish you. You look around college football and you look at the top 25 programs in college football, and what you see are a bunch of what I call fully bloomed cultures. Go look at it. Go look at the top with Texas and Sark being there 4 years. Look at what Dan Lanning is doing in year number 4. Look what Ryan Day has built. Look what Kirby Smart has built. One of the only anomalies, frankly, is Kalen DeBoer in the top 10. Matt Campbell is up there, and Brian Kelly's up there, and these programs that have been there and done that. Iowa's not up there. They've lost a couple games this year, but there's no more pronounced program that is fully bloomed than the Iowa Hawkeyes after 26 years of leadership. Returned 18 starters. When I stood in the tunnel pregame, because I kind of got caught up there, unfortunately, as the team was walking out, and I didn't want to dodge and weave because I can't do that anyway. So I stood along the wall and just watched these Iowa players one by one walk by and go, wow, wow, wow. I mean, all 5 of those starters on that offensive line have played 40 games, 44 games, starts, not even play games, 44 starts, 38 starts, 45 starts, just grown-ups. And I had just come off the field in pregame looking at Washington's O-line and going, geesh, that's a newbie. That's a newbie. That's an underdeveloped player. That's one that's just, been at a different level for a reason. Just body type wise, going to have a hard time holding up against Iowa, and that certainly showed itself. So I knew that going in, but it's kind of like when you see a house, when you're looking for a house or real estate online, and you see the pictures and you kind of know it. But then it's a little different when you walk it and you see it with your own eyes, to see the disparity at the line of scrimmage between these really physically mature, developed, been there and done it, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years in the same program, in the same weight room with the same routine, versus a program that just this week turned 9 months old with Jed Fish. And it struck me, talking about Denzel Boston, who is one of those extremely talented Husky players who caught his 9th touchdown pass on the season. It struck me in the meeting when Jed said, hey, you know what, Denzel, just wait. Just give him another year. Give him another 2 years in our weight program, our strength program, and you're going to see his physicality grow. And this is one of your best players in a Denzel Boston, let alone some of the parts that they're trying to make work at the line of scrimmage. So, yeah, I just learned simple eye test, and it's going to play itself out. And what I know here in a minute, I learned that just from a development standpoint, a physical development standpoint, it was a bunch of very grown-up adult men versus some youngsters or some newbies or some parts that are trying to make it go, but giving up so much weight and so much strength at the point of attack. So that's what I learned. What I think as we move forward here, I think you're going to see more of the Husky young guys play. And this is not any shot on Will Rogers and not an overreaction. He did some amazing things, turned the ball over really for the first time this season in a pronounced way. He had just the 1 pick going in to the game, 1 fumble early in the year, obviously matched both of those totals, which he just could not do. But just from a play making, you know what Will is, you know where the ceiling is. He's maximized the ceiling with his brain. He's gotten the most out of all of his talent. And with the Damon Williams, man, there is some electricity there. And we have seen him in every game. You've seen him in every quarter of every game, basically, this year. I think coming off of the bye week and into the second half of this absolutely brutal season, I think you're going to see a little more Damon Williams. I think you're going to see a little more Rashid Williams. I think you're going to see a little more of some of the youth on this team, some of those young guys, because you know what some of the veterans have. They've kind of given you that. They've shown that. You've given them 7 games here. I think over the final 5, coming off of the bye, I do think you're going to see just some of the youngsters come to life and just even more opportunity, in particular for a Damon. I also think you cannot play any of these games, the final 5, without giving Jonah Coleman a lot more touches. He cannot leave a game. I would write at the top of my play sheet if I'm Jed Fish and he's communicating with Brennan and Jimmy Doherty upstairs, like, okay, make sure we come out of a game and Jonah Coleman can never, ever, ever have 9 carries because they couldn't tackle him. I mean, he was the one just physical guy that, matched every bit of Iowa's physical play. And Iowa just, I think left that game going, thank God that we didn't have to tackle that guy more than 9 times running the ball. So I think moving forward, it has got to be a point of emphasis that Jonah Coleman touches the ball 15 to 20 times a game, period, bar none. Don't care what the circumstances are. That guy is too good, and just what an unbelievable talent to see him up close. So that's what I learned. That's what I think. And here's what I know, what you know, what every college football fan knows is, save for the University of Florida Gators, who have the hardest schedule in college football remaining, the Huskies might be next. You get the bye this week, hopefully get a few people healthy. Certainly need Durfee on the edge to get healthy. It will be good for Valdez to get fully healthy, some of the people up front to get healthy. But I know that the schedule is brutal. At Indiana, ranked team. USC, loaded with talent. At Penn State, top 5 team, national champion caliber team. UCLA on a Friday night. At Oregon. I'm looking at a 4-3 record right now. I'm looking at 5 games where you're going to be underdogs in 4 of those. The only one is UCLA, who also is in year 1, month 9 of a culture that is super underdeveloped. Outside of that, where's the next win to get you to a bowl game? Because this team's going to need that preparation. I know that. They're going to need those 15 practices. They're going to need that for recruiting purposes. You're going to need that to keep the arrow and the momentum going on all the good things that is happening recruiting-wise. So I know you've got to find a win, and you're going to have to find an upset somewhere there. At Indiana, SC at home, at Penn State, at Oregon. I mean, at Penn State and at Oregon, you're talking about 2 top 5 teams that are fully loaded. If Iowa was mature physically, those 2 are that and then some on a whole new level, and you got to play them in their building. And oh, by the way, I don't think the Ducks like that you've beaten them 3 straight times. So I know that this gauntlet's going to be brutal. I know this bye comes at the right time. I know they're going to have to find another upset in there to get to at least 6 wins and get to a bowl game. And I know that, the self-scout, if I learned something over that trip to Iowa, I know that staff learned an awful lot more.